We're helping businesses now. We're doing software solutions. We're sort of branching out into different product areas, but generally just the focus is onboarding Bitcoiners and answering their questions. And that's what I love to do. And what better place to do it than Bitcoin country?
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another 5-minute podcast. And today I got Jamie Robinson with the Bitcoin hardware store over here to talk about El Salvador, Bitcoin, and everything else there is.
The things I love to talk about.
Yes. So first of all, Jamie, how long have you been here in El Salvador?
About 18 months now.
Okay.
Came down from Canada early last year, and absolutely loving it, having a blast.
And so what brought you here to El Salvador?
Bitcoin, for sure. Things in Canada were kind of slowing down. Sort of, I call it no and no. Everything, you have great ideas, you want to do things, and people are like, well, maybe, there's this regulation, there's that, there's this. And there's just kind of like stagnation happening back home. And the things that I'm really passionate about, people don't really, it's not super popular up there. I'm really passionate about Bitcoin, really passionate about money with quantity controls. And I said, I want something new. I want something fun, and I want some beautiful weather and some cool people. And I came down for like a quick, called it my fact-finding mission.
Sure.
Came down for 8 days, 4 days in the city, 4 days at the beach, and I was like, man, this is really cool. This is really, really cool. And I wasn't totally convinced though. I was like, all right, this is interesting. But then I went back home, and there's sort of realization of like, oh man, like it is boring back home. Like I want adventure. I want something new every day. And then I said, babe, you want to pack up our life and go to El Salvador? And we did it. And
Wow.
we just made the jump and came down and instantly started having tons of fun.
So can I ask you, how's it been over here? What's the journey been like?
Action. I can't believe it's been 18 months. First of all, it's just action packed. It's been busy. It's been a challenge. There's been some there's a lot of problem solving. When you know how to do things back home, it's like, oh, I need to do this, so I'll just go to this store. You know where it is. You know where everything is. And so when you come here, there's sort of a challenge like learning all the new things, but I love challenges, and I love discovering new things. And so, figuring out all the little challenges. How do we do this? How do we do this? How do we do that? That process, I actually really enjoy.
And what about the benefits that you've experienced here, living around Bitcoiners, creating the Bitcoin hardware store? How have you found life here in terms of like all the joy or all the positive experiences that you have?
I was going to say just super positive. The people you're meeting are in such a good mind state. Every day there's new people coming down here. Every day we're meeting new people. I think that's one of the most exciting things. But we were talking about earlier is you just don't know what's going to happen next week. Like who's on a plane right now? Who's coming here right now?
Yeah.
And that always future excitement you feel is just super, super cool.
And is that because this is Bitcoin country?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And just people are thirsty for positivity.
Yeah.
In a world where things are cloudy, things are negative, things are uncertain, politicians are coming and going, and just the world is just, it's not as exciting. It's not as positive. Down here, they're bringing their best self, and they're coming here and they're saying, hey, I want to do something cool, and they're building, which is really cool too. It's motivated me to build faster and quicker. Like before, I'd have an idea, I'd work on something. I've always been an entrepreneur, but down here, I'm moving quicker. And seeing all the other people move quick is like, oh yeah, I gotta move quick too. Like, let's do this.
Yes, so there's two things here. One is that being around people who are doers, people around who are positive, people who take action, it's very inspiring, very motivating. That's one of the things I've noticed. And the second thing I forgot, but maybe you could touch on that point. On just being around people that are doers, what that does to you, how that invigorates you.
It keeps you in check.
Yeah.
It keeps you in check. I found in Canada, people would tell me about their great ideas. They'd say, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. And they'd have great ideas, but ideas are cheap.
Yeah.
There's a million ideas out there. Everybody has ideas. And
so the other thing I was going to say, now it just came to mind, I want to say it, the serendipitous nature of El Salvador. I think because it's like a focal point for Bitcoiners here, and the fact that there's action takers and doers, you find opportunities available everywhere, and people willing to jump on board with you to take those opportunities and explore the opportunity and see what you can create.
100%. You feel like because you're meeting other doers, and there's sort of that like doing expectation. There's a lot of synergies.
Yeah.
You meet people and you're like, hey, we should run with this. Let's try this out. Let's just do it. And that's what happened with me and Ronnie at the hardware store.
Yeah.
You know, we started hanging out. You know, he had this idea for starting the hardware store, and I said, why don't we just do it? Let's just lease a retail space, and let's just start buying the stuff. Let's get a logo, and let's do it. Like, let's not talk about it. Let's just do it. And we did it, and we're having so much fun.
It's been awesome to see the Bitcoin hardware store journey. Like, I remember when it was being constructed.
Yeah.
And all the way to now, where you guys are like hosting educational workshops.
Yeah.
And then with our retreats, we bring in a busload of people every once in a while.
We love it. We
Yeah.
love it. I know, and our little outdoor classroom, answering questions. We're helping businesses now.
Yeah.
We're doing software solutions. We're sort of branching out into different product areas, but generally just the focus is onboarding Bitcoiners and answering their questions. And that's what I love to do. And what better place to do it than Bitcoin country? You know,
Yeah.
people are coming here because they're curious about Bitcoin, or
Yeah.
because they're already at level 2, level 3 Bitcoin, but they want to get higher,
Yeah.
and they want to level up their Bitcoin skills. And so here's the place. Like, I'm with all my people,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm like, this is great. These people get me, and that foundation. You know, we were talking about earlier, that foundation of you know, once you're a Bitcoiner, it's like, okay, well, you have this foundation of personality, of characteristics. And obviously from there it goes off into different categories, but you know, I know a lot about you when I know you're a Bitcoiner. I'm like, cool, all right, cool. I'm like, we can at least be friends. Totally.
Yeah, and we're here at the Max and Stacy Golf Invitational at El Encanto, and you know, this is kind of what we're talking about. Where do you have these opportunities to connect with so many like-minded people, other than, like, you know, El Salvador and the frequency? And now
Yeah.
El Salvador's really starting to boom. We're having events. You know, I've been here 6 months, but I heard last January wasn't much going on. But now we got the Max and Stacy Golf Invitational. Then we got Plan B. It seems like this is becoming a focal point for Bitcoiners now.
And it's nonstop.
Yeah.
And that nonstop excitement you're like reborn, kind of, you
Yeah.
know. And especially as you get, you know, you're getting older, you're out of, you know, school, you're out of all that stuff, and it's easy to kind of fall into the like day-to-day pattern. The months go by, the years go by, and here it's like there's just always something new happening,
And it's easy to make friends too, right?
Totally. That's another, you know, when you're, you know, as you get out of school and you get into the sort of routine of life, it's harder to make good, high quality friends when you're older. And being here, I look around, I've made a bunch of friends today, and I just feel like everywhere I go, I'm constantly making new friends, and that is like, there's something warm and fuzzy about that, you know. It's fulfilling, and just to know that you're not alone.
Yeah. Speaking for me, one of the things I realized during COVID was that, hey man, I don't really like living around people that are going to impose their will on me, or
Totally.
or who have a way different, you know, worldview that's on the other side of the spectrum. Over here, at least there's a community forming where we're all, like you said, 50 to 75% of our worldview is pretty much aligned.
Right,
yeah?
right off the hop. And you know, one of the commitments I made to myself when I moved down here is I'm not gonna kind of put on the happy face and agree with, you know, if I have a friend that I really disagree with things on, I'm not gonna like fake it anymore, you know? And you found that back home, and you've got a variety of friends with a variety of different worldviews, and some of them you're like, I really disagree with you. And I'd love to sit down and talk about it, but in some cases they're like just not able to talk about that kind of stuff. And one of the things I said when I came down here is, no, I'm gonna be myself now, and I'm you know, if I disagree with someone, we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not gonna just like tiptoe around people anymore. And I mean, I barely have to do that down here anyway, because
Yeah.
everybody just, they're sharp.
They're on the same wavelength, and that 25% that you were talking about, that's the variety, you know, and that's the cool thing, right? That's where people's unique perspectives come into play. But it's built already on a foundation where you guys are on the same level. Does that
Yeah,
make
and the
sense?
foundation of respect,
Yeah.
foundation of there's a whole bunch of good characteristics, like respect. I'd say trust, honestly, too. You know, a lot of the people I'm meeting down here, you just don't trust verify, but a lot of people down here, like, they're trustworthy people. They're good people. They're neighborly. They're family. They're having kids at an incredible rate. The stats are probably like insane. We're having our first. And
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we're, you know, everyone's just so optimistic about the future, and that has this snowball effect.
Well, one of the things here I noticed about El Salvador too, it's small, right? And
Yeah.
so, and you're gonna see these people again. So there is also this like low time preference, like I would say incentive to invest in your friendships and your relationships with people, because they're gonna be around and you're gonna see them around.
Right, it's not like the big city where you can burn people and never see them again.
Yeah.
You know, here, like, you're building a reputation, you're building things, and I totally agree.
Any parting words here as we conclude this awesome conversation?
Come to El Salvador and see for yourself. Just come and see for yourself. See if it's right for you. And
Check out the Bitcoin hardware store.
Check out the Bitcoin hardware store when you come.